Easy Sports Talk Show podcast with Ed Smith and Javon Adams. He is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. He played not only professional baseball, but he also played in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. He is an author. He is a motivational speaker. What is good, my brother?
Made it to another Friday, bro. Let's get it in.
Let's get it in. So today, maybe a little bit more of a dry, shrunken version. We'll see. We maybe kick some other things around here, but sometimes when people are inside the machine, they can't say everything they want to say, right? When you're working for the company, you can't say that the company is all messed up, or you can only tell so many people when you in the when you in the break room, because otherwise word will get out, and next thing you know, you taking your box from your desk and you walking out the door, right? But once you get out, then you can say everything you want to say and say how you wanted the culture to change and all that. What am I getting at? I'm getting at Nick Saban. He who we know a few weeks ago he left. He decided to retire, left University of Alabama, and so he's going to be taking on a role at ESPN. He's going to be on some of those, of course, some of those college football shows and everything. But a story came out on ESPN yesterday, and I wanted to talk to you about it, where he's saying that he wants to, and I'm quoting, he wants to do his part to bring some reform, uniformity, and common sense to college football. And I'm gonna throw a couple quotes at you, but when I know you saw this story, and then I mentioned I wanted to talk about it on today's podcast, and you say, we'll get into it. But what was your first thought? To me, it was I'm thinking that's good, but man, when I hear that, I want it back to where it used to be in a lot of ways when you hear stuff like that, and maybe that could be a little bit wrong. But what was your initial thoughts about it?
Well, as you mentioned, he waits till after he gets away from the position for the most part. And for me, it it runs a little. I won't say weak for me, but it's almost big. The way it's all coming down, Jay, is the coaches are losing power.
Yes.
And it's like now there's a problem. For all these years, when the coaches reigned supreme, ruled with an iron fist, the system was perfect according to all those who led the system. Now that the rabbit has the gun,
Ha!
it ain't no fun. So, and I know it's messed up. Here's the thing: we all know it's chaotic. It's messed up. The NCAA itself has led them down this bad path because they pretty much just washed their hands and said, "Yeah, just go and do what you want to do. Do what you want to do with NIL." And yeah, here's the transfer portal, because they wanted less responsibility. They didn't want anything on their shoulders, so it did fall on the coaches. But the coaches had to take some responsibility. The system was so broken and so jaded toward them for so long, and
Yeah.
now all of a
It's like
sudden
a
there's a
market
problem.
correction.
Yeah, and it's a bad market correction, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. And now the coaches, they all got problems, and they want to stand up for and talk about it. And it's like, wait a minute, why weren't we discussing some of these things many years ago about the fact that these players weren't getting anything for their time and physicality? And then any coach, anytime they wanted to take a job, leave the kids behind, and they're still doing it. And
Yeah.
there was never a discussion about it because, like I said, it was all good. Everybody was happy, right? Now the coaches are unhappy, and now they want to voice their opinions. And this go to Nick Saban. To Nick Saban, he was the biggest. He has been the biggest benefactor of the way the system has worked for so long. I
Yeah.
mean, my nephew went there. I know the type of program he ran, and it was his word, his way, or no way. And now that the kids, and like I said, the system is fractured, but now that the kids have a say, they're getting money. They're transferring. They want the coaches to listen to them, before they make a decision. Or, I might transfer. Now, like I said, now it's tilted the other way. Now
Yeah.
these coaches want to speak, and it's just, it's a little hypocrisy at its best.
Well, you mentioned just a moment ago where when he was in the middle of it, he didn't really say much, and in the article it mentions that he knew that he's felt this way for a while, but he felt that if he began to critique the system, the NIL climate and the transfer portal and everything, that it would come across as if he was trying to be self-serving when it comes to University of Alabama. But here's something that it's interesting that he mentioned this part, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on it. So, and I'm quote, I think the consequence of this could come down the road when some of these guys get 28 and 29 years old and they maybe didn't prepare themselves for when they can't play football anymore, which is what you should do when you go to college. Now, in the macro, and that end quote, in the macro, that's always been true, because if you're bringing these guys into, whether they're playing football, whether they're playing basketball, whatever it is, and they're on scholarship, pretty much the coach just wants you to complete this particular task. I'm trying to win the conference. I'm trying to win a national championship. And if you don't graduate, okay, well, then so be it, right? So this isn't because of the NIL and the transfer portal that these issues have come up, because that was one of the things that, Jay would, I would say, gosh, man, I wonder what happens to this junior that didn't get his degree, and he just thought, and nobody really tried to change his mind once he got to school to make him say, to get that college player to understand it's not just about the sports. It's also about what happens whenever sports is done, whether that's in a year for you or whether that's in 10 or 15 years. You have to try to prepare yourself and build a foundation for you. But that seemed a little bit, I want to say, kind of disingenuous in some ways, because that's not an NIL transfer portal issue. It's always been an issue.
If you went right now to a hardcore Alabama fan, Jay, and ask them these two questions: how many national titles does Nick Saban have? They can tell you right how many, right?
Right.
If you ask that same fan, what is Nick Saban's graduation rate? I don't know. Who cares?
Right.
No, I mean, the bottom line is he's been there for all these years to win national titles. Now, they like when their players graduate, because that's like, we all have a resume, right, Jay?
Yeah.
At the very bottom of your resume, it's always something like I'm trying to think.
What, GPA or?
Yeah, you're like where you went to school. Whatever. Yeah. It's always buried on the bottom, right?
Right.
Or if you have whatever. That's buried on the bottom. Everybody has
skills
that.
And all that type of stuff. Yeah, man.
That's exactly what his like for Nick Saban. It's how many titles he's won, how many SEC championships he's won, how many games he's won. Keep going down the list, and at the very bottom of his resume, graduation rate, 78%, whatever it is. That's and when you talk about in disingenuous, that now all of a sudden that's important. I want to know where these guys are when they're 28 and 29. He wants to know how many dudes he's gotten to the NFL. I mean, that will be more another thing on the list instead of graduation rate.
Yeah,
the number of players that he's gotten to the
players,
NFL.
Coaches lose their jobs over having high graduation rates and low winning percentage.
Exactly. So for the fact that now that's important to me. That's I want to know where these guys are. They're 28 and 29, and they didn't take advantage of this. Now let's talk about because obviously it spreads across the sports. We talk about now these conferences, right? They're going to be jumping all the way across the state or the country, or like basketball, UCLA going to Rutgers, or Rutgers going to UCLA, right? On a Wednesday night, on a Thursday night, in the middle of the week, when these kids should be in class, right? But what's more important? It's more important because we rely on these conferences. We got to get these kids out there to play these games. So what we're going to do, we're going to make it a road trip. We're going to go out. We're going to play USC and UCLA. So we're going to be out there for even longer. They'll get their studying in when they get back, right? Yeah. So it's all about the kids and getting that education. And that all of a sudden now that's important. And that rings so shallow to me that now that's important. Like I said, when you think about it, the number, if you numbered the system, what's important, that would be down there around number 10 or 11 on all the things that we just talked about.
And last me, leave me with this. And again, Easy Sports Talk Show. We do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure you tell a friend about it. You can go to easysportstalk.com, easysportstalk.com. However, you've gotten here as well. We appreciate it. You can also subscribe. We also encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's at the Easy Sports Talk Show, at the Easy Sports Talk Show. And so here's one thing that he mentioned. One of the things that he said was, just like the NFL, just like an NFL player has a contract or a coach has a contract, something in place so you don't have all this raiding of rosters and mass movement, end quote. He's in terms of trying to lock players down for an extended period of time. Now that I will agree with, because I've said that if every year, it's that you talked about resumes just a little bit ago, that resume that comes across your desk and you see it, and every year they job hopping, every year, because what, the culture wasn't right? Maybe it's not the culture wasn't right. Maybe you are the problem, right? But having said that, I do think that there needs to be some time, maybe 2 years. Again, 2 years, not 3, because then you would just transfer once and then you're locked out, right? But I would say maybe 2 years. But even with that, the same way, maybe if that was the case, then there could be some type of buyout. Why? Because college coaches have buyouts. Because college coaches, what they have, their contract is 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the time frame may be, and then they have a buyout because then all of a sudden the next job comes to them and says, "Hey, we'd like you to be our coach. Well, I got this buyout. Don't worry about it. We'll pay that buyout." So that way, if another school wants that player, they'll play the buyout. How bad do you want them? And that gives you a little bit, maybe an incentive to calm it down a little bit, to have a little bit of stability and not so much turbulent seas out there.
I totally agree with you on that, and I'll toss this on the backside of that, Jay. He talks about the contract, right?
Yeah.
We do. You see, how many times have you said you do realize those contracts, those scholarships are 1-year renewables? Yeah. People think that you get a contract and that's 4 years. Well, you know what happens to some of these kids on the back end of the roster? Because say football has 80 scholarships, right?
Yeah.
There's from 72 to 80 every year because they got to go out and get new kids and stuff like that to replace the ones that graduate.
Yeah.
72 to 80, those kids are brought into an office. Yeah, we just don't see this working out, and we're not going to renew your scholarship. So, I mean, a contract. He used the word contract. When you sign a contract, that's binding, right?
Yeah,
supposed to be, not with the NCAA, not with these universities. They have the option to, I guess it's a contract with a university option, because they can opt not to re-sign your contract and just move you on your way, right?
Yeah.
Now that the kids have the option to transfer, now it's a huge problem, right? So once again, it's a hypocrisy of the whole thing. We should have like a contract. But yeah, we should since the dawn of time. And here's the problem, Jay. We're talking about the dawn of time from let's say, how long the scholarships have been going on? Since the 40s, 50s, 30s, 20, whatever, how long, right?
Right.
And now we're in the 2000s, and now things are wrong. But they've been going the other way for the last 80 years. I remember when I signed my scholarship in 1987. I was told the drill. It's a full year scholarship. It's a 1-year deal. We'll revisit this next year. That type of thing. That was 1987. This has been going on forever. Now that it's out of balance because the players once again have options. And like I said, it is so bad the way it's all been constructed, because there was no thought put into this. It was like, oh yeah, transfer? Yeah, let's just open up a window. When anybody wants to transfer, they can just go. And here's a couple rules. If the coach leaves, then they can just, because this is the window. But if coach leaves, then they now have the option to go again. And, let's just make it these dates, 30 days, 45 days. What? Yeah, that sounds good. NIL, yeah, we don't have to pay them. You mean they can get money from somewhere else and not bug us about? Heck yeah. Hey, kids, go get your energy. If they want to give you money for your name, image, and likeness, just go ahead and get it. Doesn't matter if you're not even in college yet. And we can now use that as a tool for recruiting. Hey, who cares? We'll figure that out down the road. They
Yeah.
put it all in place. It's all out of whack. Now it's the players' issue. We need to correct this because the players aren't, they're doing it wrong. Okay, well, for all these years it was done wrong by the establishment, by the coaches, because they had the upper hand. Now that they don't have hand, everything is we need to correct this. So I would say to Saban, I like your words. They should have been out of your mouth a long, long, long time ago before all this started happening. And then I might, take them for more than, now you're just bitter because, like I said, the shoe's on the other foot.
There we go. He is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. Pardon me. Again, we do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Make sure you tell a friend. Go to easysportstalk.com, easysportstalk.com. And as we always like to say around this time, you can